There's this famous quote by Steve Jobs where an audience member throws a really mean question at him and he has an amazing response. Mistakes will be made and there will be casualties along the way, but the one thing that makes a company successful is to start from the customer experience and then design a technology that fulfills that experience. So incredibly fun to come up with all these cool ideas and stuff you could do for customers. But here's the thing, if you start with the tech and then come up with cool ideas, there's very little chance that those ideas will actually work when they touch the real market. Because you don't know if this actually is solving some real need for customers. I'd estimate the probability of success to pretty much 5%. There are so many parameters in a thing that you're developing that needs to fit what customers actually need and how they will use it and how it fits into the context that they're in. But at the same time, the best founders don't ignore the tech. The tech is super important. The only difference is once you know what problem to solve, and then you need to come up with innovative ways to solve those problems. Otherwise, you have no clue how to actually do it in real life. That will also lead you to be not aligned with reality. And secondly, if you do stuff without really understanding the fundamentals of the technology, you are basically going to just create copycat solutions and not really solve the underlying problem behind this whole thing. So we're talking about two things here. We're talking about finding needs, but we're also talking about designing solutions from technology that fits those needs. Now, the thing is, both of these things, there are levels to them. And people like Steve Jobs and Elon Musk, what they do really well is both of these things extremely good. So let's talk about each of these two things. How to find problems really well and how to design solutions from the tech really well. So let's start with the problem finding. In order to find problems, you need to actually hear customers and what they say. You need to reality test the problem finding process. And the only way to do that is to actually talk to real customers in one way or another to actually see what they are really saying. The genius level step of this is not about hearing the surface level problem that customers actually express, but trying to dig behind and understand things like, why do they have this problem? What's the context behind it? Can we completely avoid the problem instead of solving it? And that is how you find these genius level areas to explore to find those solutions that can create immense value. And now when it comes to the solution, there are a couple of things that make a solution good. First of all, the solution must apply across different contexts so that you don't have to customize each time you're going to implement it. The more customization is needed, the more friction you introduce and the more work the customer has to do and the more cost the solution has to incur in order to work. So the less scalable it becomes. Friction is really going to hinder your adoption. So the less friction you can create, meaning the more standardized solution you can come up with that fits anyone, the more adoption you'll have. So basically, in order to achieve this scalable solution, you have to have found in the problem stage a group of customers whose contexts are so similar that customization of your solution isn't actually needed, or you have to come up with a solution that is very easy to customize so that it doesn't incur this friction. For example, I'm going to talk about an industry that I know best, CRM systems. CRMs solve pretty common needs actually that many companies have. Forecasting, tracking customer interactions, and knowing what you've said to customers. So these are pretty common things. Still, even though every company has pretty much the same need, almost every CRM implementation, even the really simple ones, require some level of customization. And this is one of the key things that introduces friction in the CRM. So that's an example of how this can work. Once you find a problem solution fit that is generalizable and can be applied across many different customers in a particular segment, you basically have the foundation of a company, and that is what a company is. A thing that implements a solution for a problem across many different contexts for many different customers. Now, what's interesting here is if we compare this with what a consultancy or agency is, that is basically a problem fit without a solution fit. So that means They solve a problem over and over. However, they solve this problem uniquely each time for each customer. Though agencies are also scalable, if the agency or consultancy can come up with processes that make discovering how the solution should be tailored and how to implement it effectively, and internal processes such as getting more employees up to speed so that they can do this effectively. Based on all this, what should you do if you want to find a problem you're excited about and that is worth solving? It is actually pretty straightforward once you understand how to do it. First of all, you start by searching for problems. Here are a couple of examples. The first thing you have to do is to talk to customers or listen to customers in one way or another. To do that, the easiest way is simply go to your network and just start messaging people. How do you select which people to message? Just message your closest friends or whatever who work at companies and start interviewing them. What kind of problems do they have? And you don't have to be really good, genius level in the problem search stage. You just have to be good enough, and you will get better as you do it more and more. If you prefer to do online research, if we take Reddit, for example, start by selecting some kind of vertical, maybe an industry that you are excited about, and just search for groups where those people hang out. If you really don't know where to start, you can simply go to ChatGPT and write this: I want to find problems worth solving. I'm going to do this by searching online communities, what people complain about that I can help solve. Based on everything you know about me, give me the verticals or niches for which I should find groups where people hang out and talk about their problems, and recommend specific online groups I can join to listen to people in those niches. And based on that, ChatGPT will link you to different communities. If we're talking about Upwork, for example, this is the place where people go and post what they need help with. What you need to do is you can simply at random type in some keyword, something you're interested in, look at the posts people have. What are they actually looking for? When you see something interesting, something that triggers some excitement in you, then search for other similar jobs and try to find many people who need kind of the same thing, and do this over and over until you do see some patterns, and then you know that this is actually something that a lot of people need. That's step number one, searching for problems. Step number two, now that you have a focused problem, you can't just start developing a solution. You actually need to speak to real people. There are two ways to do this. You can either get leads or you can do outreach. If you cannot get leads, it doesn't matter if you have the coolest product in the world. And when you do that, you can speak to these leads, understand more context about their problem. So here's what to do if you want to do inbound. Go to Cursor or Replit or Lovable or some other AI coding tool and build a landing page that talks specifically about the problems. Do not talk about any solution, just have the landing page describe the problems that you are addressing, and be open with the fact that you are in the validation stage if this is something worth solving. Number two, once you have a landing page, if you have some budget, you simply go and do ads on Meta, LinkedIn, X, and Google. If you don't have budget, just start posting. Post in these groups where these people hang out, get in touch with them via direct messages, and post in all these platforms. Your job is to get leads here and interview them. For outbound, here's the easiest way that I found. You go to LinkedIn, you search for people who you think could have this problem, and you tell them you'd love to have 10 minutes with them to discuss if this is something that you should pursue and if it would be something that they would be excited about. That's it. You're probably going to have to talk to at the very least 10 people, but probably around 20 or 30. And when you start seeing some patterns and you understand how it would help them to get this problem solved, what kind of results would that give them, then you are ready to move to the next stage. You have addressed the market risk, that there is a problem. The next step is to come up with a solution and make sure that your idea for how the solution can actually work in reality. If you want to reach this genius level, you do have to learn the tech. If you're not technical, study. And so the next step is to actually think about which parts of my solution do I need to make sure will work for this whole thing to work. And then you just build those small things. You build something that will prove to you that your idea can actually work, that your solution can actually achieve the thing that you think it can achieve. Do not build an MVP for customers yet. This is for yourself to actually know that you're not wasting your time on something that can't really be done. And once you know that the solution can work, now you've validated the problem, you've validated that the solution can work, and now it's time to actually validate that people are willing to pay for the solution itself. What you do in this stage is you update your landing page or you rebuild it, and now you don't just talk about the problem, you also talk about the solution and the benefits it can give and how it works. And then you run ads or you do cold approach again. And this time you actually present your solution and try to sell it and try to get some commitments. And once you get a few commitments, then you're basically home. And once you reach that stage, that's when you can actually be very confident that you found a problem, you have a solution that can work, and now you also have customers. So from here, you simply build and you go live. And then from here, it's basically the next phase of your company, which is to make it productized. So yeah, I hope that helped. If you're listening to this and you don't know where to start, go to ChatGPT, tell it, I'm trying to come up with a problem worth solving so that I can build a company around it. Based on everything you know about me, can you recommend which niches I can target that I would enjoy working with, and recommend specific groups that I can join to listen to customers who might have problems with something? And there you go. If you want to hear more tips about how to start a company, how to get ideas, and listen to real founders as they're building their businesses, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next video.